this time, I do want to welcome our Minister of Agriculture, Ernie Hardeman, to speak for a couple of minutes. I know that he is going to be busy attending the outdoor farm show as well today, and he is probably a little bit pressed for time, but without any further ado, I do want to introduce him as, first of all, myself. I got to know the minister quite well through a lot of dialogues in the past, but just to recognize, he's been first elected to the legislature as an MPP for Oxford in 1995, and is the longest serving MP in the Oxford's history. And at 2018, he was appointed as Agriculture Minister. He has a long resume, and I probably won't go into great details, but I can say that the minister has been a great advocate on our behalf, and it's been a great pleasure to working with him on many, many files. And certainly through those whole discussions about BRM, I think we do recognize that there's a need of partnership in all different levels. So I think we want to nurture those partnerships moving forward, and especially through those whole COVID crisis that is still not over. He's been working hard in the background as well of making sure that food security is one of the main priorities of his ministry, because again, consumers did realize that agriculture is actually that necessity that we all rely on every day, and we need to have good access to it. So without any further ado, I do want to welcome Minister Hardeman to our Zoom conference for the Grain Farmers Ontario.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Marcus, for the kind introduction, and I do appreciate the fact that you didn't go quite into full length into what was written in where we've been and what we've done in the past, because it is in fact the past. And when people do that, when they introduce me that way, it's usually longer than the remarks that I'm bringing. So it kind of overshines the ability to make an impact when you have that. So thank you very much for doing such a great job of skipping that part that today is no longer relevant. And so with that, I also want to point out, thank the Grain Farmers of Ontario, first of all, for inviting me to this meeting. But more than that, even you mentioned going out to the farm show to make an announcement this morning. That will also be very near and dear to the hearts of the Grain Farmers of Ontario. So we very much look forward to that, working not only here through this venue today, but at the Outdoor Farm Show, to continue working with you as we work together, promoting the farm show and the good work that's being done there on behalf of the agriculture industry, but also particularly on behalf of the grain producers in the province of Ontario. So we want to thank you for that. Obviously, we would have liked to have been able to do this in person this year, but because of, as I was saying earlier, it seems kind of fitting when the COVID first started, everybody was putting off the meetings because they hoped that in a few weeks we could actually do it in person again. That turned out to not be maybe the approach we need to take. So it's nice to be able to be forward thinking and saying, well, maybe we can do these virtual meetings today and do a good job of it. And then next year we can look forward to doing your annual general meeting again in person. But that doesn't mean we should skip one. We can do it here and do it very well via electronics. So thank you very much for being there. It's hard to believe that that September has come around again so soon, but here we are with fall at our doorstep. And I just want to point out that this past week, surprising as it was, as I was driving into the city, I saw somebody combining a 50-acre farm of beans. I went a little bit further up the road and somebody was harvesting, cutting corn for the silo. So obviously fall is here, and one has to wonder where the spring or where the summer went. We know we had a spring and we know we're cutting corn, but what happened to the summer? And I'm sure that the grain industry has had a very long summer with all the challenges. It didn't pass quite as quickly as it did for some of us that were confined to sit in an office and then and do everything virtually. And all of a sudden, when the sun came out, we said, well, wait a minute, that's not the summer sun, that's the fall sun. On top of the many serious impacts the sector is handling and working with us on to overcome due to the COVID-19, these conditions have presented their own challenges. In addition, you've had to adapt to many changes and pressures in managing COVID-19 on the farm. Just think how much we've gotten done doing differently during the COVID outbreak, as these meetings are a great example. So a lot of changes have happened since March. A top priority for me during these challenging times has been to ensure that our farmers are supported through this unprecedented time. I've been meeting with sector representatives on an ongoing basis to listen to and understand their concerns. I want to thank Marcus for all the work he has done to keep us updated and share the concerns that he's hearing from the membership. And it's never a time when I'm in a room or in a meeting, not many times in a room, but in the meeting with Marcus on the screen. And whenever there's an industry meeting, Marcus is always there to point out what needs to be done for the grain and oilseeds industry. Though these discussions, we've done our best to identify and address impacts caused by COVID-19, working closely together on these actions has been the key to its success. I'm very proud of the strong action we've been taking and what we continue to do to support the sector. As you recall from a recent announcement, Ontario has fulfilled its promise to increase funding for the risk management program by $50 million starting in 2020 program year, keeping our promise a year ahead of schedule. This will help farmers deal with the severe and unexpected market challenges resulting from COVID-19. I want to thank your leadership, especially Marcus and Crosby, for working with us on that change. We've also targeted funding programs under the Canadian Agriculture Partnership to support labor needs and enhance worker safety. We've provided red tape relief by extending more than 20 sector licenses or permit regulations during the period covered by the COVID-19 emergency orders. You know, better than anyone, that the serious challenges farmers have faced during the COVID-19 situation have impacted the stability of many farm businesses. This is truly a national problem and it requires a national solution. Early in September, I was proud to stand again together with the Grain Farmers of Ontario and other agriculture sector leaders to call for improvements to the Ag Stability Program. As we have said throughout this situation, the federal government must act promptly to make enhancements to programming that protects farmers from large declines in their income caused by things beyond their control, like production loss, increased cost, or adverse market conditions. I know how hard you are pushing for the federal government to keep the support you need, to get the support you need, and I want you to know that I will continue pressing for the federal government to make these program investments now. And I continue to work closely with the provincial and territorial ministers of agriculture on broader support for our farmers. I've spoken to the federal minister, Bibeau, many times to express the urgency of the need for enhanced support, that Ontario is at the table, ready to move forward now. And I want to re-emphasize that Ontario is willing to move, or ready to move forward now, if we can get the federal government to move forward on the improvements we're asking for in ag stability. I stressed to Minister Bibeau that COVID-19 pandemic is straining farmers' ability to operate with decreased or delayed availability of labor, additional operating costs, uncertainty at the processing level, and excess market volatility. And reinforcing my message to Minister Bibeau, Premier Ford raised the point directly with the Prime Minister, emphasizing again the strong need for enhancements and updates to ag stability. I'm proud to say that Ontario stands with our vital agriculture sector and the agri-food heroes. We're ready to do our part, but we can't do it alone. And we're going to keep up our effort to advocate for federal support to help our farmers. With so many challenges and unknowns about the recovery period, ahead, we do know it's going to be very important to keep working together. And I think you mentioned that in your comments, Crosby and Marcus. Working together is the only way we're going to get to where we need to be. And I want you to know that you have my commitment to keep listening and keep working with you every step of the way. I truly appreciate the Grain Farmers of Ontario's continued partnership in this effort, and we always accomplish more when we work together. I think the last few months have shown many Ontarians, some of whom may not have thought much about agriculture before, just how critical this sector is. And from that perspective, I think more people are starting to think about food and agriculture in a new light, and that's not a bad thing. Understanding that it takes a dedicated network of people working along the supply chain to maintain the safe, high-quality food essentials we often take for granted. They're now realizing that along with nurses, doctors, caregivers, and grocery store workers, to name just a few, agriculture work is frontline, essential, and heroic. The dedication of everyone in Ontario's agri sector has been inspiring and exemplary to the country and the world during these months. You all can take great pride in your work and the significant contributions you bring to this province. I realize it's been a very difficult time for many of you, and I don't want to oversimplify the challenges you are handling daily or the ones that lie ahead. But I feel confident in the sector's resilience and determination to carry on and thrive into the future. So I want to wish you all the best for a successful AGM. I know you have a lot to do in the months and years ahead, and I look forward to continue to working with you. Let's keep our focus on supporting resiliency and success for the sector in the years ahead. Thank you again. I thank everyone again, and above all, be safe. Thank you again for having me here today.